Okay, beautiful. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
My attention over to. I'm ready.
You're ready. Okay, beautiful. Okay, guys, welcome everybody. Happy Thursday. Our topic today is about karmic relationships and soulmate. So let me see what Sahar says. Sarjan, why don't you chat with me from YouTube? Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Thursday to you guys, too. Okay, when should I start, or would you like to start the topic today?
You can give a little bit background of what to expect.
Okay.
People, is expecting what the topic is. This is a very interesting topic. I don't think I've ever heard a monk talk about this particular subject. So I will give my background, personal experience, and what is going on with the karmic relationships is.
Sahar is saying Ven needs to turn the volume off, but turn the mic on. Turn the volume off, but turn the mic on. So your mic, your mic is on, but you're bringing the volume lower. I think we're good now, Sahar. I'm
Mics
not
have
getting
to be
any.
both mics are on.
Both mics are
Yeah,
on.
both of the mics are on. Restream for Sahar to hear me, and then so I'm not sure which one to mute, because if I
Okay,
mute
I
one,
think we're good now.
we're good
Yeah,
now. Okay.
we're good now. I'm not hearing echoes back, so we should be okay. So I'm going to dive into our topic today, because as you all heard, Ven said monks don't talk about. Okay. I turn off the mic on YouTube, Sahar, so we should be okay now. But can you guys hear me now on YouTube? Yes or no? Okay, so basically, when we chose the topic karma, which I'm sure you can collaborate a lot more, because first of all, karma could be very misunderstood. A lot of people are somehow connecting karma to bad things or the bad deeds that we have done in our past lives. And we are kind of thinking, oh, probably the reason that I'm suffering right now today here is because I haven't done anything wrong on this lifetime, but maybe I have brought up some of the old karmic from past lives and that stuff. And generally, we think karma or translation of karma is a bad thing when something bad is happening. Which the way I'm looking at it is that karma is basically the seed, and whatever seed that we're planting, we know and we expect to get whatever we have sown, right? So basically, when we're doing something that we feel is wrong to do, whether it's a soft lie or whether it's like white lies that we think is not really that big of a deal, but somehow unknowingly, subconsciously, we feel bad about what we have done. And that is kind of the energy that we're bringing in. Therefore, um, subconsciously is kind of a shadow that is following us, that we feel bad about ourselves. And as we all know, I don't need to tell anybody anymore about law of attraction, is that whatever energy or vibrations we're sending out, we're receiving it back. So just to recap from past life, universe has given us the opportunity to put a huge mirror in front of us, and whatever feelings or energies we're sending out, the universe is just returning that energy. So basically that's what it is. And how do I feel about myself, and how I think and how I feel and what I do, consciously or subconsciously, is building up this field of energy, and I'm sending this field of energy, whatever it is, whether it's toxic or whether it's happiness, sending it out. So when we come to relationship, um, basically, most of us are urging to have a partner, and not having a partner somehow creates void, and we often feel that this void needs to be filled up with someone else or something out there. And generally, we never really give ourselves enough time to get to the silence or go within us to know that we are part of the whole universe. We are kind of feel separated, and we all know the minute I feel separate from the wholeness, from the universe, we will experience lack. And right now I'm thinking, okay, I gave myself enough time to work on myself. I have been going to so many retreats. I have been listening to so many monks and learned so much. Why am I still feeling this lack, or why am I not attracting my soulmate or my twin flames? So before I open this up a little bit more, I want to tell you guys the way I'm viewing the difference between soulmates and twin flames. I believe, and I could be wrong, I believe we have many, many soulmates. My soulmates could be my sister, or it could be my mother, or it could be my dog, or it could be my boss, or it could be my boyfriend or girlfriend or partner, whatever it is. So we don't have just one soulmate. We have many, many soulmates. Soulmates are coming to us, and they're kind of, we are sitting in the same class, meaning that we have chosen the same, pretty much the same class. Oh, Wen is out. Let me get him. Right? So it could be that I have chosen the lesson of feeling enough, being enough. And my soulmate or my soulmates are continuously bringing that back. So I see that I'm not enough. I'm not feeling enough. And my soulmates are kind of helping me through my journey to learn the lesson together, not separately or individually. Now, the twin flames that we are looking for is, it calls twin, which is my twin. But why do you think we call it flame? Because is by getting together with our twin flame, uniting and becoming one. Now, twin flame is my twin side that's bringing all of my shadows out in a very short period of time. It's very overwhelming. So the love that we have for our twin flame is so much. And perhaps when we meet our twin flames, there is this knowing that, oh, I know this person. In a very short time, we really love and adore our twins. At the same times is really difficult, because when we're like overwhelmed with this love and joy and happiness, yet there are so many lessons that are lined up, and all of these lessons are coming together. So we are taking a crash course in a very short time, getting involved with so many different lessons. So the twin flames, the love is so much. In the same time, we get hurt very often, because when we love someone so much, the sensitivity is also a lot higher. I am a lot more sensitive to what this human being is saying or acting or reacting, and somehow is like my lens is totally on my twin. So whatever they're doing, we feel that, oh, he or she is doing it to me, or we get a lot more hurt. We are a lot more, if his or her attention goes somewhere else, you and I become like really upset, and we get irritated, and we kind of lose ourselves into our twins. So eventually we feel that what they're thinking, I am thinking. What they're feeling, I'm feeling. Somehow I'm losing myself into this relationship. Then, do you want to dive in?
Okay, all right. First and foremost, everyone be aware that right now we have a storm passing by in Florida. So that's why there's going to be some technical difficulties along the way, but try to make this as painless as possible for everyone. So as everyone is well aware that first and foremost, I have been in love before. Matter of fact, a lot.
When your connection is not that good, you are frozen. There we go.
Back, right?
Yes.
So I don't see a lot of monks talking a lot about relationships, and so today we talk about karmic relationships, something that I have been observing for a very long time, and mostly have been observing it culturally in my country. My country, they use this term a lot. Screen. Okay. Hey, you guys let us know if there's a frozen screen, but you froze up there for a second, Sudi. Okay. So, Yin and Na is faith and debt. And the deeper meaning that goes with that from a Vietnamese cultural standpoint is that, you know, they've had this longing past life having debt together, meaning whatever happened, there was unfinished business in their previous life or multiple previous lives. And then now it's playing out in this lifetime. Now in this lifetime, the causes and conditions got them to come together, got them to be together, and very hard to separate. Now, from my own empirical observations as a very mindful young man growing up, even before becoming a monk, I was like a tape recorder. And what does that mean? That means that I watched, I listened, and I never objected to anybody, just because that's part of learning, is that you watch and you listen, and then you question it later. You question whether it's true, it's correct. You gather data, you try to see statistics, you try to see significance in all of these collective stories. Additionally, I was a medical and legal interpreter, so I've worked all areas of law and all areas of medicine. So what does that mean? That means that in my line of work, I got to be by the bedside of people who were sick and dying, and they had wives or husbands letting go of wives and husbands and the things that they have said on their deathbed before departing. I've also watched divorces play out. I have watched probably maybe 900 to 1,000 divorces in my lifetime, 15 years. So I got to see, so everyone here can see this comprehensive picture of my life, where I've been, how I fell in love, how I fell out of love, how my job is, and how I got to observe and hear and see things play out, what my culture says about it, how people love in my culture, how people love in different cultures, multicultural counseling, and then tying it all together. So what you guys get today is me tying all of this together to present to you guys what karmic relationships look like, how do they unfold, how do they typically end, and what to do when you're in a karmic relationship, okay? And what to do after today's talk, after you realize it may or may not be a karmic relationship. So it's funny how people meet, right? Psychology tells us, where you look for love typically determine the love that you find. But sometimes in life, there's all sorts of twists and turns. Sometimes it could be coincidence. Sometimes you have no idea where this person is coming from and how they wind up in your life. Sometimes in such relationships, things work out really well. Sometimes things don't work out very well. Sometimes you are instantly compatible. Some people get married after 3 months knowing each other. That's like questionable. That's, from a scientific standpoint, we're like, how? And then they last for about 30, 40 years. That's a really rare one. And then some people known each other for 10 years, they'll never get married. I don't know why. And then there are stories of, yeah, we broke up, but we still live together, but we live together on separate roofs and we pay each other rent. It's just like, what?
That's for convenience, sharing rents and expenses and everything. I know. Yeah.
So in my life, sometimes, like, dynamics of relationships that in my country, on here with some of the dynamics, is very rich, very smart. We have a lot of doctors and lawyers that met, Dr. Wins, Dr. Vos, Dr. NGOs, Wins, Lays, Hongs, HOA, NGs, LE. So if you put any of those last names on Google, MD, Esquire, JD, professors, PhDs, you'll get a lot of them. So my point is that the people in my country are very observant and very smart. They know how to collect data, and they know how to pass that along from generation to generations. So when they expound the sentence that from generation to generation, from generation to generations, it requires paying close attention to small details to what they're trying to say. It is no different than the Theravada tradition of Buddhism, is that from generation to generation to generation, our elders have repeated the same thing over and over again. Our lineage survived by and through the oral transmission of information. And, you know, like when we're chanting together in a large group. So if someone forgets a word, obviously they're like, oops, you know, everyone's not chanting that word. I'm the only one who said that word, and the rest of them is saying another word. So we investigate by and through collective measures of transmissions of information from generation to generation. And according to my culture, is that they have seen all sorts of types of love, different types of love, that science would kind of scratch their head and wonder, how did you guys fall in love? How did you guys meet? How did you stick it through wartime, through disease, through life and death situations, through the inconvenience of the interference of your families, through the interference of siblings, through the interference of neighbors, through lying, cheating, stealing, you know, it's just crazy. Some of these things you listen to, you're just like, how is that possible that you guys remain together happily? How is that? And then there are also hypotheses of questions of, how come you guys are still together when you have the option to leave? Someone is sick, someone is dying. Why can't you just leave? He told you to leave. He's on his deathbed and he told you to leave. He says this is what he wanted, but yet you can't leave him. Or this is what she told you. She told you that it's okay. She wanted you to be happy. She wanted you to find someone else. She wanted you to be happy after she dies. She wanted you to be happy and content and satisfied right now and not to worry about this life-changing diagnosis. So this is where the karmic debt explanation comes in. Typically, when we run out of explanations, we have to look at the karmic explanation point of view and the cultural aspect of it. Because, see, I'm only 34, so I'm a baby. I can actually be Sudi's son right now. And be like, hi, Mom. We're on the show, Mom.
Are you making me old now?
No.
I'm just kidding. Yeah.
So my point is that I'm young. You know, I haven't lived as long as some of these guys out there, especially elders, you know. And so we learn from them. And we're just observing and we're just like, oh, well, I mean, we can't explain it. We're trying to use the best available science of what we know to explain what's unfolding in front of us. And so I have seen in my lifetime people who have done that, who have stood through thick and thin, through the most, what's seemingly perceived as unbearable amount of suffering, unbearable amount of pain. And they stuck it through. And for example, my uncle, who he retired now, but he used to be head of emergency management for Sarasota County, Florida. So he had a really cool job. He was an engineer, but like when something happened big in the city, like a terrorist attack or a flooding or a hurricane or something that required his attention to fix the city right now, they gave him a radio to bring home, and he would get on the radio with the police chief, with coordinating. He was like a city manager. It was really cool. They gave him a car with lights on it, and he was like Superman of the city. Well, our aunt died of cancer, and he placed his stone next to hers. So he already purchased a place where he's going to be buried right next to hers, with a promise that never gonna love again, and I will ride this life out with you, even if you're not here. I will rest in peace with you when my time comes, and we will rest happily together, either with God, either with our Lord Jesus, either with, in nirvana, And so on and so on, or reunited together one last time within the universe or within future lifetimes to come, the foreseeable future to come. I also just had an aunt who lost another uncle who lost her husband. One of my distant. This is not immediate family. This is distant family. And she comes over here often, and she talks to my folks, and she says, "I have never had a man that loved me like that the way that he did." So again, I don't think she's going to remarry either. And so there's a lot of people are skeptic about this. As you hear these stories unfold, one could say attachment, one could say severe attachment, and it could be so. But I also like everyone to think that there are also people who also up and left. There's both sides of the stories in any stories, especially when it comes to relationships, where we have people that stay and we also have people that leave, and quite fairly, they leave very quickly. Look at his knees.
Bless you.
Okay. There are people that you're just, we look at it and we just shake our head and we're like, how could you leave her? She has cancer. How could you leave her because someone's in debt? How could you leave her because she got into a car accident and can never be the same again? How could you leave this person that they're in vegetative state? And then now I want all of our viewers to also know the opposite, is that when someone is in a vegetative state, the Terry Schiavo case here in Florida, where she was in a vegetative state and her husband fight for so long and so hard. So anyway, someone just asked Sahar, can Monk date? We will get to that later. I just want to get the primary.
Yeah, we want to know that.
Yeah. Okay.
Another question Sahar sent in is, Buddhism doesn't believe in soul. Is it true? And we get to that too.
Yeah. So you guys just remind me if once we get to there, because when we have competing questions, I just want to make sure we get all of it. It is, I believe that. So if attachment is not resolved in that particular lifetime, okay, then it will carry itself. It will carry itself onto the next lifetime. I truly believe that. It is my job to prove a lot of things wrong. I'm like a scientist. It's my job to prove the Buddha wrong. It's my job to prove karma wrong. It's my job to prove a lot of things wrong. That's what I like to do, prove things wrong. But I truly believe, after empirical observations and everything that I have collected in my 15 years of clinical experience, education, and training, of working all sectors, having seen the four sites, just like the Buddha, as described in the life of Buddha, is that, okay, so that's what happens. That's the cause of it. Okay, so let's talk about what to do in this lifetime, right? In this lifetime, we have to be very skillful at loving and knowing how to love. The energy and the karmic energy and the intention surrounding the relationship, the way how you treat people, the way how you make people feel, has tremendous amount of karmic energy. This also includes sex. This also includes the energy of sex, the profound energy of sex, and how they feel about it and how they can attach to you based on the behaviors that is being manifested in that relationship. Look, you can get a PhD in relationships, so it's very deep. It's very deep. These are only surface level conversations that we're having here. But I want everyone to be really aware about how you talk to each other, how you listen. You guys really gotta branch out and really watch how certain gentlemen treat their ladies. Literally, the term and quote of, he treats her like a queen and she treats him like a king. because there's mutual respect.
Yeah.
And they're sensitive, and I mean, like, the way I've been teaching love is that if each person put the other person first, and they're not, you know, narcissistic, and they're not like, you know, they don't, if there's not too much extreme self-involvement. Just imagine, just two people that puts each other first, then we wouldn't have any problem, because I'm always concerned about what you need and what you want. And the other person is always concerned about what I need and what I want. So there's a reciprocity here that is really beautiful, and forever grateful these people actually really are. Where people get themselves in trouble is that it's too much self-involvement that can be translated into extreme narcissism, self-centeredness, ego based. And so in this lifetime, when we cultivate ourselves to be the beautiful human, the beautiful lover, the beautiful boyfriend and girlfriend, we have to be extremely attentive and mindful when they're bidding for our attention, when they're bidding for our love. You know, because, you know, life's like a EKG, and there's no different in the relationship. It's like an EKG. You know, people are subject to sad days, bad days, good days, exciting days, you know, depending on the job that they have, that, you know, that they want to share with you. So your stress has to be resolved in order for you to open your ears and take on the stress of your partner, and vice versa. When you've had it with life, when you've had it with where you work, and your partner's trying to tell you what's going on in their day, because that is important to them. I love you, and it's important that I share this with you. You know, I want to tell you about my day. I want to tell you about Sarah, Tom, Dick, and Harry, how they drove me crazy. I'm getting a promotion. I'm getting demoted. I don't know what's going on in this company. In America, you know, we have a lot of stress, and usually people don't have time and energy for this. They come home, they just want to watch Netflix and cool off. The timing of such relationship is also important. If everyone followed, for example, the Noble Eightfold Path when it comes to the timing of such conversations, they would do so very skillfully. It's really tough being human. It's really tough. I've loved, I fell out of love, I tried to love again, fell out of it again. And I've kept journals. I've wrote down, you know, like, what's happening? What's going on in their world right now? I want to know. I want to feel what's happening. What are you thinking right now? You know, and likewise, they don't know what on earth is happening with the jobs that I had, you know, being director of this, having to deal with, you know, death, loss, and as a social worker. You know, they don't and I wasn't good at communicating, because that's what men do. Men just hold it all in. We think that no one really understands what we're going through, and nor do we think that you are qualified to give us recommendations or solutions. You know, our minds all twisted. We jump to conclusions. We blow things out of proportions. We don't think you can help us. So we just hold it in, and then it explodes, and then we get angry, and then nothing good happens after that. Now, if you recognize that, oh my God, there's no way out of this relationship. What's keeping me in this relationship? What energetic force is keeping me within this relationship? One has to really slow down and really see how things are unfolding, so that you don't want to carry what's happening here onto the next lifetime. By slowly processing this relationship in this lifetime, skillfully and mindfully and slowly and thoroughly. Okay, now think about what I just said, because that's what people don't do nowadays. They jump into relationships fast. They want things right away. This is the attitude. Watch my hands. No, I expect him to bring me flowers. I expect him to surprise me. Surprise me. There are all sorts of expectations. And it is exactly that affects your happiness. Is that when your expectations are not met, oh boy. So being attentive and trying to process through something, either it's a relationship or a death of a loved one, you got to go through it slow and figure out what's happening deep down within and what's happening physiologically. All right. meditation helps you do that. Meditate to connect your mind with your body with your mind. So let me.
Yeah, slow and steady. Ben's connection is a little slow today. He mentioned that they
Instagram,
have
so I'm getting it back on.
something going on in Florida. Okay.
I sent you a request.
He's gone. I'm going to get him back on again.
Here today.
Doop.
Okay.
Let's see.
Okay.
Okay, you're back.
We're back. Just a freaking phone. The internet right now. All right. So, you know, when people fall in love, there's physiological response, the heart pounding, the butterflies, and then you act on that. You act on it a little bit too quick without prior information, without additional information to make an informed choice. And then likewise, in a relationship, there's going to be a lot of things that affect your memory and how this person triggers things inside of you. The anger, for example, how they make you angry, how they don't listen. You know, the skills is that it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Meditate on that one. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And the attitude that is attached to what we say will get the results that you either want or don't want based on how you say things. You know,
yeah.
Why did you not do the dishes? I told you so many times, put the shoes outside. The toilet seat. I'm done. I'm through with you. You see the hand gesture. You see the face, the nature, tone of the voice. So now let's change this 180 degrees. It's like, baby, you know I'm tired when I come home from work. You know it really helps me out. You just leave the toilet up or leave it down. It really helps me out if, you know, the dishes were done, because every time when I see it, it just compounds this headache that I already have. You think you can help me that next time? Because if you do that for you, I'll do something. If you do that for me, I'll do something for you later tonight. So have fun with it. So have fun with your relationship. Why does it have to be so serious? Why does it have to be so this all the time? And you gotta ask yourself, how well has it been working out for you? When we do this all the time, what is your results? What do you get? And how often do you get the response that you get? Would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? You're gonna do the right thing, you're gonna do what you really want to do. Because the couch is right around the corner. So in life there's already pain and suffering. We already know that. First noble truth. So why would you compound pain and suffering in your relationship? Have fun with it. I just gave you an example of how to have fun with it. Make light of any situation, of anything that is causing arguments or the oncoming of an argument, the forthcoming of anything that is unpleasant. You have choices. Everyone have choices in those moments to like have fun with each other, go tickle each other, go kiss each other, go whisper in their ear. There's so many ways to have fun with humans, because that's why you got into the relationship, is to have fun together. And sometimes people forget that, to have fun together. Whether it is karmic debt or not karmic debt, whatever it is, have fun with it. And then try to process it and then come to a full understanding soon, right? And at the moment of death, have you done the best you possibly could? Is there any more you could have done? Forgive and ask for forgiveness so that, you know, you don't carry this debt onto the next relationship. There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that you will be humans in the next realm, and there's no guarantee that that you guys are going to be like this again in this lifetime. We have observed animals in love. We also observe the karmic relationships in animals, and we have seen that when one animal dies, the other one dies with it. the same identical behavior that we have seen in humans. I have worked a case where Miss Ian's husband died in the nursing home. The nursing home did not notify a week, 10 days later that he died. 10 days he died and did not call her. So she was mad. She was heartbroken and angry. She wanted to sue them. I said, okay, I'll meet you at the house. We're going to sue them. Fine. I got a lawyer set up already. I'm going to pick you up. We're going to go see the lawyer. And then I go to her, Miss Inn's house on 58th Avenue, near 34th Street, St. Pete, Florida. And there's a big gathering there. And I'm like, is Miss Inn here? I was supposed to meet her like an hour ago. Or half an hour ago, something like that. And everyone who gathered there said she just went in the hospital. She had heart issues. By the time I get to the hospital, she's already dead. So I see her lying there. And I go and I talk to the nurses. I said, her husband died a week ago. And nurses says, we see this all the time. They died literally of a broken heart. And the doctor who explained the physiology behind it, he gave me the scientific explanation behind it. And I was like, well, no kidding. She literally died of a myocardial infarction. Holy cow. We have seen animals commit suicide or will themselves to sorrow and died next to the grave of the other animal. May it be a dog, may it be a tiger, may it be a monkey, may it be all sorts of animals. We have seen it. And as fast as we could start recording them, again, you guys don't believe me. Your job is to tell everything that I'm trying to say and make the connections together. So I'm emphasizing the importance of recognizing, using the best available science. First and foremost, before you rule whether this relationship is karmic or not, you have to use the best available science to be your own judge. That means to evaluate and to assess what's going on right now on a higher intelligent level. That means, how did you meet? Because if we met at the club, you already got the red flag. All right? If we've already had sex in less than 3 months and less than 6 months, according to scientific research, that's another flag. All right? You gotta use the best available science we know about relationships right now. What they say the wait time is supposed to be before you jump into bed, before you start moving in together, before you start talking about marriage, before we got to look at the behavior of the other person. I once met this beautiful girl, so beautiful, and like at night she would like YouTube I don't know, where people like pop the question to get married in a crowded setting. I forgot what it's called, but I'm pretty sure our young people do this. Looking at like mass crowd surprises. Will you marry me? Kind of, and they dance, and the girl say yes, and then she was really wanting to get married, and we were like 4 months in the relationship, but that's all she looked at was every night. She was, kind of was hopeful and wishful the things that we see in movies. That's what she was trying to do. So you got to look at that, the behaviors of your partner, how old they are, how young they are, the frequency of their relationships, how many relationships that they've had, how long does that last? You got to investigate baggages, what the honesty. That comes through time. That's why you need time to feel safe with each other, time to open up, because once you guys feel safe within each other to share information, things open up. And that's where things get really real. It's like, wow, I just told him this part about me, my addiction, my trauma, my abuse, and yet he's still sticking around. Once you get all these check marks, and that's when you're like, oh my goodness, and then you couple that with certain things that play out in bed. Sex is really important in a relationship. It's part of human behavior. And the quality of the sex, conjoining with information you both have know about each other, the way how you make love really, really does it with, wow, he really cares about me. There are certain sexual behaviors that give rise and insight that know sex is a funny thing. It's a very taboo subject, and it's like, oh my god, a monk is talking about sex right now. But when you analyze the behavior, the dance in bed, right? You analyze the dance in bed, really gives insight into, wow, there are certain dances in bed that you will never experience again. And that's when people really ask. But also, sex also confuse your intellectual mind and your heart and your consciousness about. You got to know, the attachment about sex and the feel good thereafter, and the chemicals that's being released, serotonin, oxytocin, the get close, feel good, comfortable chemicals, and how that could mask your lenses of seeing the relationship objectively. A lot of young people equate sex for love. No, boo boo. No, boo boo. Don't get it twisted. No. Come back. Let's think about this clearly. So, anyways, there's a lot to study. There's a lot to study, and there's a lot of listening and a lot of asking a very experienced, qualified, authentic teacher like Sudi. Myself. I mean, I still consider myself as a junior teacher. So I try my best to explain this the best I possibly can with what I went through, what I see others go through, and what you may or may not go through right now in your life. So, karmic debt should be something that you got to gather a lot of information before you rule out. You can't just say, we had great sex and he's the one. And yeah, we probably owed each other something in the last lifetime and never resolved it. And now we have to resolve it in this lifetime. So don't jump to conclusions. And again, consult before you make that assessment and evaluation. Because some people really operate on that platform and get themselves into more trouble, compounding more suffering, compounding more delusions and illusions in their life. You don't want to go through 10 marriages, people. That's really rough. 4th, 5th, I've seen it. So again, this is something that if you're confused about, ask Sudi. Sudi have lived, okay? And ask other people, know what to ask. If they've been in love before, how many times have they been in love? Have they studied love before? Have they know the most available science? You got to do your research.
Ven.
And so, yes.
I want to get in, if you don't mind. We start answering some questions, making it a little bit short because we have loads of questions are coming. So let's get some questions answered. First of all, I know you're on TikTok, and we are live streaming from Instagram and also from YouTube. If you guys want to join us on YouTube, better sound and picture, because on Instagram Ven sometimes goes off, but we have him on YouTube, so you can join us on YouTube. Sudi Burnett English is the YouTube channel. And then Ven, what platforms are you on? TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and what else?
All of it.
All of it? You're on Facebook too? Yeah. Okay. So Ven, I'm going to answer. I pin Yellow Puppy. She asked, how do we know we have karmic relationships? I'm going to answer this and then you can dive in for more. I believe karmic relationships, or any relationships for that matter, whether we label it as karmic or non-karmic, when we have this interest towards someone, is the invitation that's being sent out to the other person in order for us to come and sit in our class. Now, that class could be anything. That class could be self-worth, lack of self-love, shame, guilt, anything, So the minute that I meet someone and I'm really getting drawn into them, don't get fooled because as we know, like Ven said too, so many chemicals are being released in that moment. Serotonin, dopamine, and blah, 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 blah. No, be conscious about it, that, oh, I'm really interested. I'm really drawn to this person. But if you are coming from a higher awareness or you're conscious, you would pull back for a few minutes and ask yourself, what is the lesson? What class? This invitation could be to go to a wedding or to go to a funeral. It's the invitation. So be very conscious and aware that this interest, this feel, my heartbeats are going, the butterfly in my stomach, I feel like I like everything about this person. No, it's the invitation that's pulling you in to sit in a class. But the question that one should ask, what class am I entering in? And by being fully conscious and aware, you can see what's going on. Because imagine you and I have all of our backgrounds, our upbringings, our cultures, our beliefs, our wounds, and so many old behaviors and patterns. So as soon as you and I are meeting and getting into this invitation, I have to be very mindful. What am I getting myself into? You have to make, as Ven said too, you have to make a lot of pauses in between. Something is happening, something this person is saying, and I'm getting really triggered. I love this person so much. I'm so sensitive now. I'm even more sensitive. I have them under a laser on anything that they're saying, however their body reaction is being. I'm trying to read everything, but I have to be aware. Through the lens that I'm seeing this person, there are so many old behaviors. There are so many wounds. There are so many childhood abandonment issues and codependency and please love me, love me, love me. I'm bringing all of this through this relationship. Therefore, it makes us much more conscious to see whatever is going on. I know is not about that person, it's all about me. What old programmings, wounds are coming up? What shadows are coming up? And now that they're coming up, I'm aware that it's my old programming. These are my shadows. And if I don't come with a clean surface, if I haven't spent years on really getting to know myself, not the false self that the ego mind has created so far, the real me. If I haven't spent years to really get to know who I am not all of my old behaviors, learning, patterns, triggers, all of that. So I would always say a healthy relationship will begin when I have really worked on myself, start knowing who I am, and then I'm coming from a clear, clean lens. And I believe if I have done the job, if I have done the work, if I have made that my priority, and I cleared up my past, my old behaviors, my wounds, and I have worked on all of that. And I'm coming from a clear space, and the other person is coming from a clear space. Now we are having a wonderful relationship. But to be honest, tell me, guys, who has done the work to come from that clear space? Say I. From Facebook, from YouTube, from Instagram, from TikTok. Just be quiet for a second and see how much work have you done. How clear is your space? Say I if you have spent the time, not me yet. Okay, there we go. Thanks, Tali. Say I if you have give yourself enough time to really get to know yourself. And it's funny when a lot of time I hear from other people who are saying, I feel like I really know you. They're telling me, we are so alike. I feel that I know you. And I'm thinking, how could someone else know me when I haven't really figured out who I am? You know what I mean? So tell me if you think you have done enough work. And how do you know that the relationship is karmic? Just look at how much up and down, how much difficulty you're having, how much miscommunications, how much are you getting hurt, how reactive you are to this person, to their actions, to what they're saying or whatever is going. I think karma, like anything else, like consciousness, like awareness, is not a one layer thing. There are so many layers also into karma. So the more difficulty I have, the more I feel that I'm getting hurt, the more that I'm being triggered is showing me that the depth of the karma is more, or is more depth into it. Now, how do we, now that I realize it's a deep karmic relationship, how do we go about it? But I'm going to say this, I'm going to move to the next question. I often believe that generally we always are being more fooled by the characteristics or all the layers that the ego mind has been created. Therefore, I'm under assumption that I'm this or that. I'm OCD, I'm ADHD, I'm codependence, I'm not a fast learner, I'm not very sharp and smart. All these layers that the ego mind has created. And until I don't separate myself from the ego mind, until I realize that the mind is not something that is inside even my body, until I realize the thoughts are not mine, the thoughts are being created by the thinking machine, and until I don't learn to separate myself and be on this practice that this is not who I am. I am not my mind. The mind is a separate entity. And I was telling this to someone yesterday, I don't know who it was. I said, you know, even when we think we have to make a choice, correct me if I'm wrong, when two thoughts or ideas are showing up at the same time, and I have to make a choice between Oh, I remember I was talking to Max. Two ideas come. Should I have coffee or should I have tea? I would ask myself, who is the one who is thinking or is thinking that has a choice? And I often say the mind is a separate entity. You are not the one who's choosing. You're under an assumption that you thought coffee or tea, and then you are the one who's after all choosing coffee over tea. You are not the one who's choosing. The mind itself is the one who's making the choice. And you are the one who are experiencing it. And until we really get to that point that the thoughts are not mine, the choices are being created by the mind, is not mine. And even so, in a way, I can say there is not a chooser. The chooser doesn't exist, but the choice is being made by the mind. Does that resonate? Are we kind of, what do you think, Ven?
Well, I want to go back to answering how do we know we have karmic relationships for Yellow Popeye real quick.
Okay.
Gave your take. I just wanted to piggyback on it. So these are the questions that you want to ask yourself. So I'm going to, ask you as you ask yourself, which is, number one, do I know who I am? Do I know my struggles? Do I know my pain? Do I know where I have been? Do I know the causes and conditions that led to where I am today? Do I know what I want? Do I know where I'm going? Do I know who I want to go with? That's 8 questions already. Additionally, is it that I need love or do I want love? Do I need him or her or do I want him or her? Needing one, very need a distinct distinction between there. You got to know the big difference between there. Am I doing it based on what motivation and intention? Am I doing it based on financial motivation or intention? Am I financially stable? Am I emotionally stable? Am I physically stable? So if you adopt Maslow hierarchy of needs and you just go through that checklist right there, and then when everything else is ruled out, that you are happy with yourself, you know who you are, you know where you've been, you know the baggage that you're carrying, you know how to process that baggage, that you have gotten proper assistance or professional help, or on the spiritual path enough that you are spiritually mature to go forward into a relationship objectively, and that you're not being influenced subjectively a lot by this relationship, that you can see clearly things as they are in this relationship. You can see how things are playing out. You can see the other person's motivation. You can see the person's intention for you. When all of this checklist is marked off, and when the other person willfully, knowingly, and intentionally want to be with you, not need, want to be with you, and they will do all sorts of behaviors that give rise that clearly, unmistakably, unshakable faith and confidence that they want you in their life. And they made such statements to give evidence that you can rely on, reliable evidence that they need to say it because people assume. So don't assume. And if you don't know, ask. One of these days, have a very deep conversation. And part of that asking is, do you want to be with me? But do you feel like you need to be with me? Do you love me for who I am? Do you fully accept me for who I am? Will you be with me for the rest and remaining balance of your life? Will we go through this life together to thick and thin? What if something happens to me? What if I'm decapacitated? What happened if I'm in vegetative state? What if I'm at end of life stage? What if I get a life-changing diagnosis? How would you feel then? So, love is something not to play with in life. You will pay dearly in the next life if you play with love in this life. And that people have played a lot of games in love, taking advantage of sexual energy, taking advantage of people's weak psychological state of mind. And so these are some of the deep questions that should be addressed when the time is correct. And that is when you know whether it is karmically charged or not karmically charged. And a karmically charged relationship is that through thick and thin, through the things that science cannot explain, yet they are still there next to you. Through the most trying times, weathering through the storms of life, withstanding and enduring through the test of time, yet they are still there. And they arrange their life so that they let you know that even when they do pass away, or anyone passes away, that this love is secured in the knowledge that I will be there for you. All right. And very important, you all also know how to detach too. That we enjoy the time that we had here, whatever karmic debts that played out, that, we did the best that we could with the time that we had and how honest we were to each other. And let us now forgive, and let us now not take any more karmic debts with us onto the next life. So it's a lot of deep conversations. However, just based on the questioning that you heard today, I'm not sure how qualified my students are in asking themselves these questions and making objective evaluations based on these questions. They're very tough questions. So, again, when in doubt, reach out to one of us so that we can really help you see charge or so given said that, I'm wondering if we wanted to move on to the next question, since we have a lot of repeating questions.
Let me see. So question from Rainbow Matrix. Had somebody in my life that made me see more toxic behaviors, and I want to heal myself. Did you get that question? Well, I'm going to shoot for it from what I understood. I think she's trying to say that if somebody is bringing in some toxicity into the relationship, that my old past behaviors are showing up. Is this karmic? I can say, you can say yes or no, but I wouldn't still put it on the other person. I will always, let me make this in a statement. From my side, I will always see it from my side. It's never, because I believe there is no one out there. This is my belief. I mean, all this movie, all these films, the script, the scenario, the characters, the stereotype characters, everything is being created in the mind. So the way I'm looking at life is, if everything is being created by the mind, and the mind is a separate entity, whatever I'm seeing out there, whatever characters are showing up, or whatever lessons are coming up, is not about, is never about someone else there. Is always about me. If someone else is, by their actions or behaviors, are bringing more toxicity, they're not the one who needs to be blamed or changed or anything in that matter. What comes to me is that if I'm feeling reactive and I feel that someone else is doing something, whether purposefully or not, if I'm seeing and getting more toxicity coming towards me, I would come to myself and I say, what am I being triggered by? What old wounds? What behaviors? What are my shadows? And I will again leave that person, that character alone, and I come to myself and I say, oh, let me check and see where I got fooled by believing that I was hurt or wounded or incomplete or shadows and all of this stuff. I have two ways to leave the character. Either way, I would leave the character alone. I know it's never about them. So I would come to myself and I said, what is this triggering in me? And then I would work on whatever is triggering me. I become more conscious that, oh, there is more clearing that needs to happen here. This is the way I will go about it. Ben, what do you say to that?
So we should never jump to karma right away.
Mm-hmm.
It's too easy. Should not use the word karmic loosely. When a person helps you see things about yourself, that's a wonderful thing. That's an opportunity for us to learn about ourselves. So typically people react, what? I'm controlling? No, you're controlling. So what did my professors taught us? My professors taught that when someone tells you something about you that is probably not ideal for you to listen to hear actually, then we should do this. Like when someone says something about us, like, hey, I think you're really controlling. But our response should be, tell me more. So when they are telling you certain things about your behavior, the way how you think, if they're pointing things out, it's a great opportunity for us to capture that and now ask ourselves, is it true or not? And be really honest to yourself. Are you controlling? Are you jealous? Are you doing all these things in this relationship that causes them to say these things to you? And so, and I think that we all have conditioned responses, and based on our causes and conditions, we're blind to us and we're blind to the things that we do. So it's a wonderful thing when someone tells us, hey, I think you need to really look at this. Sometimes they don't put it in a nice way like that I have just said. Sometimes they do this and you're just like, who are you talking to? But if we take it as an opportunity, if we reframe it in our mind that this is an opportunity that they're trying to let us know that maybe we didn't see something or we're just, climbing the ladder a little too long, it's time to bring it back down, to be humble and grateful and back to a position of learning as a student about yourself. That's what spirituality is. So, think about that first before we start, going the karmic route. It's not an easy explanation whether it is karmically charged behavior, because there's not a lot of science yet to make such claim. And so therefore we have to look at what is realistic and beyond, what is realistic and within our control and within our views that we can really look at and fix right now. Nonetheless, pondering about things that is beyond our control.
Mm-hmm. So thank you for that. Amanda wants your thoughts on healing anxiety. Amanda, I would ask, who is the one who is experiencing anxiety? What part? Who? What is it that's experiencing the anxiety? And then answer that question. I would say, if anxiety is being experienced, I am not the experiencee. Anxiety is a feeling, is a form, is an energy. So is happiness. So is gratitude. So is contentment. All these energies are here vibrating. But who is the one who is choosing anxiety over happiness, peace, and joys? I would question the one who is experiencing it. And when I question the one who's experiencing it, I come to an awareness. This is a higher level teaching. I know it's hard, but it's really helpful. And that's my teaching. That I would separate myself from the feeling. I know I'm not the experiencer. I know the mind is creating, making choices. We have many, many choices. Like I said, happiness over anxiety, contentment over not being content with what's going on, acceptance, non-acceptance. These are all free energies here. And if I'm asking the question, who's the one who's experiencing it, and I'm realizing that I am not the one who's choosing, because if I would be choosing, we all, as human beings, we are extremely intelligent. Why would I choose anxiety? If it was my choice and I was the one who was choosing it, why would I choose anxiety over peace and happiness, contentment? So by questioning the questionnaire, you realize that you are not the one who's asking the question. Separate yourself from the one who's experiencing anxiety, and you realize that you are not the one who's choosing, and you are not the one who is experiencing. I hope I answered your question. That would be helpful to you. My friend will have me watch him scratch his skin with a hot knife. Is he in pain? What should I do? Okay. You are seeing that your friend, your boyfriend, or whatever is scratching his face with a sharp object, which is knife, and is hot and all of that. Ven, do you want to answer that, or you want me to answer that? He is in pain. He is injuring himself deliberately. And what should I do? Would you like to respond to that, or should I go for it?
Without having too much information about the nature, style, disposition of her boyfriend, best thing to do is to get them professional help, and how we skillfully convince them to do that. I don't have an age of that young man right now, but usually people are resistant to getting help. And when they are cutting themselves or hurting themselves or using any sort of objects to raise awareness, it is trying to get your attention. It's trying to get the family's attention, the lover's attention, because it seems like no one is hearing what they're trying to say. So therefore, they will manifest some of these behaviors in order to get that attention. Likewise, we've seen these in like eating disorders, suicidal threats, homicidal threats, extreme angers, some of these behaviors are typically seen in someone who is trying to get our attention. So you just have to investigate it a little bit more deep with a loving kindness and compassionate, deep understanding without trying not to judge. We're trying to evaluate and assess and reevaluate and reassess about what's happening here and getting them the help that they need. Because playing with a knife all day, every day, it's not a good thing because it's going to lead to something a lot more serious. And it just sounds like, he needs some comforting and people coming together to figure out what's going on in his life.
Yeah, very good answer. And something else that I'm just going to add to that, not that he then didn't answer it fully, is the place that oftentimes we think we should be doing something when somebody is behaving in a way. And oftentimes, because we're such a good soul, when we learn a lot of stuff that has helped us or it made us feeling better, we think that we have to force that to other people. And this is where I want to say that we have to understand that we are not everyone's teacher. And we often see that with the loved ones, with the close family members, that I might be a guru for a lot of people, but not necessarily for my family or not necessarily for my partner. I am not their teacher. They don't want to hear it from me. And we have to understand that, to realize that people are going through their own journey. There is a timing for everything. And if you and I understand that everything is divinely planned, everything is divinely planned, everything has its own time and its own process, I would understand if my boyfriend is using a hot knife to hurt himself, whether he wants to get my attention or anybody else's attention. I have to understand that I am not the one. I am not his teacher. I'm not his coach. I'm not his psychologist. And like Vince said, they have to learn their lessons. Is gonna be their timing. And like Vince said, all I can do is to come from my heart space. Is the switching from mind space, oh, he's suffering, giving it meaning. Why is he doing that? He probably wants blah, 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 coming through a lens of judgment, even. If we leave that space of coming from the mind and come to our heart space, which is only love, like Ven said, understanding and compassion for others, it's a different type of energy that we sending out. We cannot really do anything for anyone else. The only thing that we should be responsible for, it's me. Am I coming from mind space or am I coming from heart space? Am I coming through a lens of judgment or am I coming through a lens of love and compassion? That's the only thing I have to do, because everything is vibrational, everything is energy. So when I'm coming from my heart space and I'm really present for this person, and I don't even have to, find them a cure or look for anything. All I have to say that I am here for you. I'm here to, I see you, I hear you, I'm here for you. Whenever you feel that I could be assisting you in any way, let me know. Okay, so getting back to the topic of relationships and karmic relationships, Like I said, and I could be wrong, since we have new people who joined us. I said there is a difference between, even when we say karmic relationship, we could also say it could be a soulmate karmic relationship, or it could be a twin flames karmic relationship. And the way I separate these two was that soulmates, we have so many soulmates, not just one. Your horse or your cat or your dog or your mom or ex-boyfriend, any of these could be your soulmates. Soulmates are basically our saying that we are going through the same class. We're taking mathematics right now, or we're taking algebra, or we're taking this or that. Soulmates are, we are taking the same class. We're sitting in the same class as soulmate. We help each other to sit through the lesson, to learn the lesson, and to go through it. On the contrary, twin flames are, as the name say, twin flames. That means the invitation has been sent to my twin that I was always feeling that void emptiness, and that once the twin flame comes, are the lessons that we are taking will multiply. Deeper classes, deeper learning, understanding, and it's kind of a harder relationship. So in a way, it's like twin flames are the one who pull the rug under your feet, and you are spinning really fast. It's so much love, so much passion, so much intensity. In the same time, so many lessons to learn. It's a crash course. Now you can think by yourself, are you still looking for your twin flames, or with this explanation you're just gonna give up? Is that what twin flames are about? No, I'm not ready for all this intensity and all these classes and learning. I want to take my time, I want to go slow. So then pick a soulmate. Then, before we wrap up, tell us what we need to hear.
Before we wrap up, tell us what we need to hear. Relationships has always been a very hot topic for a lot of people right now in our lives. Every stage of a person's life, they're always looking for relationships with people, romantic or not, friends or not. I would invite everyone to further your studies and research about everything that we know, how to move about a relationship in this lifetime alone. So, does it matter it's karmic or not? Well, to me, we have a lot of work to do if we are engaged in the one what we love now, or we think we love. You need to ask a lot of these questions. Earlier, I gave a whole checklist of questions, and I invite everyone to go through them again carefully, and do not mistake not even one question. People who's been following me for a long time realize that the weight and the magnitude of each question is extremely important, imperative, and salient to your happiness. If this is what you want, if this is the relationship that you want, then you would do the homework so that you can move about it skillfully, so that there's more roses and less thorns in your life. If you do not heed the advice of the wise, and you still operating on the same platform, then you bet you will most likely suffer tremendously in the current relationship in this current lifetime. And that could carry the remainders, the residual effects into the next lifetime. And it could compound your suffering even more. So don't play with love. Don't play with people's feelings. Be an upright person. Be a straight shooter. That means be ethical and be moral as much as you possibly can, cultivating morality, cultivating ethics within yourself, making the right choice, being happy with the choices that you make so that it is not regretful. That's one thing that we don't want right now, is regrets in your life, and towards the end of your life, you don't want to look back and say, oh, I wish I asked for forgiveness. Oh, I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I got my last word through. So hopefully we gave you some insights about karmically charged relationships, what it is and what it is not. And so just look at it from an objective standpoint. We are so close to our partners and we can't see a lot of things objectively. And we make all sorts of mistakes because of that. And continue to make mistakes because of that. So, again, so you guys can probably have to rewatch this again because this was such a deep.
There we go. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. So you want to watch this, whatever platform or if that you are watching this, you probably want to watch it, like Vince said, a few times, because there was a lot of jam-packed informations. And from my experience with my followers, or once they listen to one of my lives, they say they miss so many pieces from it. So like Vince said, you have to listen to it a few times, because each time as you listen, you're going to pick up pieces that you did not pick up the first time. And as I say, every single day, a new personality is being born. A new personality is being created. You are not who you were yesterday. You're not even the same person who woke up this morning, right? It's the same as I always say. People are like, can you read my aura? And I said, yes, I can read your aura right now. But in an hour, with the first trigger, with the first thing that shows up, your emotions will be changing. So is your aura. So aura is not a constant thing. Your chakras are not remaining the same. Everything is changing. We are changing every minute and every seconds, right? So for me to understand this and to get this and to really sink into it, I'm changing in awareness, like different layers of awareness and consciousness too. So if 2 days ago you listened to this live and your awareness and consciousness was a little bit lower, whatever you picked up, whatever information that your mind picked up for you will not be the same as when you listen to this today and again in a couple of hours. So as we go through being conscious and unconscious, there is constantly this dance and this wave. I am aware, I'm not aware. I'm aware, I'm not aware. I'm conscious, I'm unconscious. As we're going through these different stages, then when you listen to something, you're going to pick up some stuff, but tomorrow is going to be different. And as you know, the thinking machine, your mind is choosing for you what information is going to be picking up. It's still not you who's choosing, oh, I want to really get this. You think you are. You think that you're under an assumption that you are listening to Ven and I right now. And you are listening and you're observing. But you are really not. The mind is choosing what information wants to get. Do I like this or I don't? And if you become really conscious right now and be very transparent and honest with yourself, how many times during this hour and a half live you caught yourself that you went somewhere else and you missed what Ven was saying, or you missed what I was saying. How many times your mind took you away somewhere else and then you came back? How many times you weren't able to hear and you thought whether you like Ven dress or not, or he was talking and you were thinking, I wonder why is he wearing that orange robe? And then you came back again, you listened to a part, and then you went back again. He's talking about love. Do monks also have relationship and they fall in love? And then you came back again. Just notice how many times your attention keep coming and going, coming and going. Then you understand. Yeah.
Can I answer that? Because we forgot to answer that, if monks can fall in love or not.
Go ahead. Yes, we want to know that.
So, in this tradition of Theravada, the school of the elders, no, we cannot date and fall in love. However, in Japan, it's totally different, because they said, well, in order for Buddhism to thrive and survive, then we can still be monks, still have families, still have kids. It is my position that when you have a family and kids, it's a little bit harder to focus on the spiritual path, because so much energy, time, effort is dedicated towards attending to your wife, attending to your kids, the attention that you need to give them, nonetheless, attention that you need to give to yourself. So when you remain celibate, number one, you would be doing yourself a favor, by focusing all of the energy that could go outwards now inwards, to knowing who you are, just to investigate, just to sit with the silence, just to investigate the mind and body, understanding your hormones, understanding where you've been, and so on and so on. Everything that we have covered today is better and conducive, and more conducive, if everyone would take a pause, take some time of celibacy, so that you can clear your mind without external influences of people nagging you, friends with benefits. All these things are meant to distract you from knowing who you actually really are and what you actually really want. So, just consider that. I would invite all of my viewers. But yeah, so now you know that in this traditions, monks cannot date.
Okay. And like sometimes I say, as we heard from many prophets and that stuff, that they left everything. They left the material world for 40 days. You hear about Muhammad and whoever prophets that we know of. They went into the mountain or somewhere really silence, and by quieting down themselves enough and by shutting down everything, that's when the epiphany happened. That's when they felt enlightened. That's when they start hearing the higher power. That's when the real connection and oneness happened and it took place. But is that, I also want to open up another window, that this is not also for everyone. Because as you guys listen to Eckhart Tolle or many other spiritual gurus, it just, awakening can happen in a second and in a minute. And for some of you guys who are Ven followers and maybe don't know about my background, I wasn't after awakening. I didn't even know what awakening was or is. I didn't know what enlightenment master is. I wasn't a meditator. I was a businesswoman and I was handling many, many things. I had ADHD and I had OCD, and I was like two voices were constantly talking and they were arguing with one another. And this is the place that I came, and awakening just happened in a second, in a minute, that I was just gone. And it was like, oh, I'm at a different place. So what I'm saying is that also is a choice. You can become aware or enlightened in the midst of everything that you're doing. And oftentimes I say, okay, I did that after I experienced a piece of enlightenment. It was so grand and it was so beautiful that I kept on looking for it. And I kept on saying, is this going to happen again or what? When is this going to happen? But later on, I realized that that wasn't the goal. Awakening or being enlightened is not a goal that we have to achieve. It's not a destination that we need to arrive. Awakening and enlightenment is just a state, is just is. If you choose to separate yourself from the mind and ego, you are your true self, you are your higher self, you are enlightenment. So I would say, instead of wanting and urging to be enlightened or awaken, is release that urge, release that need. Understand enlightenment is not a place to go, is nothing that you do. You could be, I have followers for 30, 40 years. They were a meditator. They've gone from this guru to India to that guru to Papaji to this and that, and they're not feeling, they're feeling anxious, stressed out, all of this stuff. Like I said, enlightenment is not something that you have to look for. The minute you feel that you want or you need to be liberated, the minute it becomes a need or want, it becomes a task, it becomes a goal, and that's not the purpose. That's exactly what's separating you from the whole awakening, from the whole knowing. So what I'm saying is, question the one who feels is not enlightened. Who is the one who feels I need to awaken? Who is the one who feels it's not enlightened? Question this one. And then when you come to an understanding, is the mind, and the mind is not yours, separating yourself from the mind, however you want to do it. If you want to call it meditation, because oftentimes when people tell me, so how many hours a day I have to meditate? And I'm like, meditation is not a task. It's not a set time that I say, oh, let me think. For you, probably 6 hours a day. And for you, maybe 30 minutes. Meditation is not a task. I say, don't ask the question, how often should I be conscious? That shouldn't be the question. It should be being conscious and choosing to be conscious. It has to be the whole time. That when the minute I'm becoming conscious that the ego mind has also awake, from that moment I'm conscious that I am not the ego mind. I am watching this character separate from myself. I let the character do his talk, but I'm not engaging with the conversation. That's meditation. How often? How many hours? I don't know. That's an individual question that you need to ask yourself. What do you choose? To be asleep or to be awake? That's the main question. When you're smiling and being so quiet, what's up with that?
I just like listening. I just like listening. I'm not sure how much time you have left, but I mean, there's a lot of more questions on, I guess, on the YouTube.
We can do another. We can do another 10 minutes. You want to answer another question, Van? I know there's a lot of question coming in.
Oh, yeah. So I wanted to answer something about earlier when someone asked about whether Buddhism and the soul, the connection with how Buddhism looks at the soul.
Great.
And so, yes. So we do reject the notion of the soul. And what is the soul? The soul is a permanent entity, unchanging entity that will move from this lifetime into the next lifetime with you. In Buddhism, we reject that notion because everything is impermanent. It is in constant flux of change through the 5 aggregates. And so in Buddhism, when we pass away, we believe that our streams of consciousness will continue. Stream of consciousness will continue. But I would invite people who think too much about the soul actually provoke a lot of anxiety, as all of us are, number one, afraid of death and afraid, well, what happens to my soul when I actually die? But however, asking that question, one would be wasting one's time delaying what we have to do in this lifetime alone. You see, if you live a good life in this lifetime alone, then what would you have to worry about where you're going to be going in the next lifetime? Whether you take rebirth, reincarnation, or united with the great Lord in heaven, to me, who cares? Are you living a good life now? Are you living the righteous life now? Are you not doing harm to yourself, doing harm to others? You're right. When you look at the universality of the Noble Eightfold Path, which is universal, you don't have to be any religion, you don't have to be Buddhist to look at the Noble Eightfold Path to see that, wow, what a nice comprehensive educational system, code and moral and ethics to follow. And it just made sense because I think I'll be happier following the Noble Eightfold Path. Yeah. So I would invite everyone to, look at the amount of work that we have to do right now as we are alive, nonetheless pondering questions about what lies in the next lifetime, what is going on in the next lifetime. Is it realistic to me? Is it productive to me? And is it really, does it not need to waste so much attention to that? Because if you sit there and just ponder that every single day, you are delaying the quality of your life now.
Absolutely. Well, here's the deal, Win. This is easier said and done. I think the main issue is that because we are kind of feeling hopeless and helpless, what are we going to do with the thinking machine? What are we going to do with the thoughts, which is constantly pulling us into the past and into the future? And I often said, questions are being created by the mind. And as long as you're allowing the mind to do its work, and you believe that you are the mind, you are the thinker of the thoughts, you're going to be constantly pulled into the past and into the future. Is my soul going to be reincarnating, and how many times the soul is coming? The questions, remember that. The questions are always being created by the mind. The mind and ego are constantly creating questions, creating problems, and then is going to find the answer to the questions or to the problem or to the dilemma that the mind itself has been creating itself. What we are saying all along is you need to become the higher consciousness who knows that I am not the mind. I am not the mind. I am not the thinker of the thought. I am not even the one who's choosing. So who am I? Question the one who wants to know about the soul. Is soul real or not? Like Vince said, this is a question that is taking you to the sidetrack. And then by knowing that answer, yes, your soul is going to be, the soul is real. Your soul is having multiple experiences. There are millions of parallel universes, and your soul is doing or living all these different lives. Okay. But at the moment, this moment, you cannot go through all those parallel universes. You cannot have all those experiences because you are still in being controlled by the mind. And all we're saying is recognize the mind. You are not the mind. You are not the thinker. And this machine, this is what this machine is doing, creating thoughts. And if you want to go by it, believe that you are the thoughts, you're constantly going to be pulled back and forth to the past, to the future, confusion, all of this thing. And that's what Ven is saying. Don't get involved with the questions. Let the question go. Be here right now, present, and say, how do I feel?
The other thing is today's topic was karmic relationship and soulmate.
Soulmate, yeah.
People don't have to think too much about what's going to happen in the next lifetime because we have a lot of work in this lifetime and to enjoy your soulmate in this lifetime. That heaven or hell is being created by your mind right now. With every choice that you make, you can create heaven or hell. Mm-hmm. With the one that you love, with the one that you are pursuing. So, soulmate or not, look at the remaining balance of time that you have left to live with the one that you want to love or the one that you are loving, and make the best out of it. And at the end of the lifetime, you all can both look at each other with this one smile, with a deep sense of understanding, looking at each other and realize, wow, baby, that was one hell of a ride, wasn't it? And I'm so glad to have ride this ride with you one last time. And that's, who cares at that point, wherever both of you go? Because you got one opportunity. If we look at it, we got one opportunity to do it right. This is our opportunity, and this is our time now to make that heaven with the one that we love. Simply put, and we couldn't make it any easier for you guys to love the one that you love with the available resources and education and research that is available right now.
Beautiful. Ven, I'm so sorry. I'm just going to cut you out because I don't know what you did, but Sar says we're having echo on YouTube from you. So I just didn't want you to continue. Either way, we're going to have to end this live. We got to go. It was wonderful, Ven, to do another join live with you. So we're going to do another one. Sahar is going to be in touch with you. This time we're going to let you pick the topic as monk because we have chosen the last 3 lives, I believe. Suffering is a choice. By the way, guys, especially Ven's follower, if you haven't watched the 2 previous lives, I would definitely recommend you guys to watch it, not just once, because we went over an hour on each lives. The first one that I picked was, what was the first one, Ben?
Oh my goodness.
The second one was suffering is a choice. Last week was suffering is a choice because I have done a live about this topic and a lot of people get even angry. What do you mean I choose to suffer? So don't miss that live. And the previous one was, what was it, Sahar? Suffering is a choice was last week. But the first one we did. Is anybody present here to know what was the first live we did? My God, we're talking about all this consciousness and being present. And where are you guys? Let me think for a second, because no one else is here. What was the first live Vin and I did? Sahar, what was the first live? Non-attachment love. Thank you so much. Yeah, the first episode we did together, non-attachment love, which you guys want to look at that, definitely. And the second one was suffering is a choice, and today was karmic relationship. So please, all of my followers from whatever platform you are with us, follow Ven. He's also like me on all platforms: TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, blah. And for Ven's followers, if you wish to also follow me, all of our lives are saved on my YouTube channel also, Sudi Burnett English. We're going to be doing another join live with Ven, and he's going to be picking up the topics. And maybe Ven's follower, you want to let him know what topic is really enticing to you guys.
Yes. I like it when we have surprise topics for me, because I like surprises anyways. It's the Thai forest tradition is that we don't prepare any talks that we give. We just show up and give the talk.
Mm-hmm.
And we like randomness. We don't like to prepare things. But if everyone could reach out to Sudi or myself and give us statistically what you all would like for us to address. If you also want to look back on previous videos so that we don't touch up on the same topics, we're more than happy to cater to whatever questions that you have. But it's always a pleasure for having me, Sudi. It's always
love to have you, Ven. The pleasure is all mine.
Thank you. May you all be happy, be free, and always be healthy.
Okay, love you, Ven. Love you all. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget again to follow Ben if you haven't, or Ben's fan to follow me on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, blah. See you all next week with another interesting topics. Also, you can send us a message. What topic would you like Ven and I to talk about? Love you all. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great weekend. See you next week. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye, Ven.